How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
Before we get started,
yeah.
I just wanted to send a huge congratulations to Ronster and the Radar Dames for putting on a really pretty awesome Halloween show, man.
Thank you.
Did you guys all see this?
I saw some of it.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, I raced home after doing shit with my kid. It was like 10 p.m., so I'd missed the initial viewing. But I popped it on, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. But the Radar Dames are fucking great. But Ron kind of steals the show.
Oh, you think so? You a fan of the Ronsters hosting?
It's like watching Elviron, you know?
Oh my God, that's so perfect.
Elviron. I sort of thought about that. That's better than Dr. Orange, which I had to think up on the fly.
Revealing dress on and own the show.
Well, you know, we were so happy with how it turned out and the turnout for it. You know, we were watching online with, I know that almost 300 people have seen it. I don't know how many of those people bought a ticket, but that's tremendous for little old Wenatchee burlesque troupe doing an online show. But yeah, I finally got to do my horror hosting. I tell you, I've been wanting to do that for a long time. So it felt pretty natural, mostly because I had wanted to do it. It was hard, though. And next time I'll definitely have to rehearse a little bit more and rely on teleprompter less, because it's just a shit ton of words you got to get through. But there's no way you can do it without a teleprompter. I'm not going to fucking... memorize all of those little tidbits, and you don't want to lock in too much because you want to be able to improvise and have it sound and feel natural. So
you don't want to act like you're reading it. And they have really good apps. I'm not sure if you is that what you use, but they have really good apps for iPad.
Dude, I printed out all of my script and taped it to the fucking tripod. I had one on top of the camera and one below, and each page was split into two. So between every take, I had to go untape them and tape them back up. I tried to rig up something with the iPad.
The apps are activated, so as you read them, they'll scroll down. Mm-hmm. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking into getting a teleprompter, not just for this sort of thing, but more and more getting. Oh, there's some pretty decent price ones for the iPad, and I saw some pretty cool DIY ones, and I'm excited to try. One guy made one using like an old frame from the dollar store and a book binder, and it looked fucking legit. So that's one of my favorite things about filmmaking, honestly, is figuring out how to not spend $500 on something that you can spend $5 on.
Sure.
Well, 500, that's nothing in the film world.
A lot of them with the teleprompter, all they do is basically all your script is backwards. It's flipped. Mm-hmm. And then you just like 45 degree a mirror. And so like as it goes, you're reading it normal. But as if you were to just pick up your iPad and read it, it would be backwards.
Yeah, well, they're reflected onto glass. So the glass is actually right in front of the camera, so you're looking at the lens. See, I didn't have that benefit. I had to look just below or just above. So, but it was fun, and
it was great.
All in all, I think it came together really well. And if you want to check it out, you can still get a ticket. Boy, I think by the time this comes out, we might be pulling it down. We were going to keep it up for a week. But you can try going to radarstationart.com/tickets. If the link is still up, $10 will get you however many viewings it'll be up for. And we're going to put it back up down the road. But as part of the ticket, we just wanted it to be up exclusively for a week after the show, and then we'll figure out what to do with it going forward. But yeah, I'm glad you dug it. I had a lot of people give me really good feedback, and they said that it hit all the notes that we wanted to hit, which was, it felt like Halloween. Just felt like sitting at home watching one of those old classic up all night sort of marathons hosted by some kooky dipshit and a girl with big tits. Mm-hmm.
Elviron plays, doesn't it?
Elviron does flow. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I'm very disappointed that I didn't think of it.
Hey man, you're one episode in. I think if you're gonna do the name change, you just do it for right now.
Now's the time. Mm-hmm. Well,
I want 10%.
we got. You always want 10%, and I always say, "I'll send you a bill." There's no. Everything I do is in debt.
And I laugh like that every time.
Very good. Yes. But tonight we got a packed little show. I have. I'm going to be talking about the intriguing and sordid history of the world's most popular board game, Monopoly. If you don't know the story of Monopoly, I think you're going to be surprised and intrigued and entertained, and I can't wait to get to that. But after that, it sounds like Christopher has himself a crippler-sized trivia for us tonight. So we got no time for dilly-dally. I'm excited to see that. Now, this is going to be a movie-themed quiz, Christopher?
You know, I just wanted something fun and light for tonight, and I didn't want to look at the news at all. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're doing 15 kind of wonky and fun movie trivia questions, and a couple of them are things we've covered in the past. So I hope you all been paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, before we get on to any of those, do you guys have any quick news stories you wanted to bring? No news is good news.
So you guys, have you guys ever sat there and waited for a bus in a big city? You know,
only a couple times.
All the time.
The worstest thing you could probably expect is maybe a drive-by, or maybe, who knows, maybe something unwanted inside the thing.
That's pretty bad.
This man, unfortunately, he was waiting for a bus, 33-year-old Leonard Shoulders. No play on Head and Shoulders, but Mr. Leonard.
Such a porn star name.
Isn't it?
Leonard Shoulders.
He was waiting for a bus in the Bronx of New York when suddenly, underneath his feet, the concrete collapsed and causing him to fall.
Bye-bye. Just like pitfall.
Well, yeah, it was basically a sinkhole. As he fell, he broke his arm and his leg. But what he didn't know, because he's down, man down. He's literally in a hole infested with fucking city rats.
Oh,
no.
I didn't see this.
Mistake worse.
It gets worse. But wait, there's more.
There's more. His brother was actually there. He wasn't inside the pit, but he was there to kind of help him. I guess kind of talk through it and help him while he was down there until the fire department decided to show up and help him out. He was scared to even scream because he was afraid that the rats would go in his mouth.
There were so many of them.
Was he like level 1 in an RPG or something?
I have no idea. He had a broken arm and a broken leg, so he was screwed. He was down there, and he couldn't scream for help because he was afraid the rats were going to get in his mouth.
How far down did he fall?
Level 1 in an RPG with broken weapons.
Yeah, he's got no spell.
10 HP. Yeah.
The worst thing without a magic missile spell is that he had to sit down there for 35 minutes until the fire showed up.
Ooh, that's a long 35.
Surrounded by the vermin, and that's all they were doing was just basically jumping and running around all over him, and he couldn't get up, and just a horrible experience.
God, that could scar that dude for life.
Yeah. So I'm sure you had a pretty good day, guys.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that is the point, isn't it? That's one thing that you can at least take away from the news. Yeah, oftentimes it's depressing and too much to take, but there are always examples of somebody who is way worse off than you. And it does put things into perspective. How worse, at any given time, how much worse life could actually be. Knock on whatever artificial wood I have in my vicinity. But not an invitation for it, just an acknowledgement and a thankfulness to not have things being worse than they are. This has been one hell of a year, man, but I haven't fell into a pitfall of fucking New York City rats. I'm not going
to think of a bus stop anymore quite like that either.
Just opened up.
The concrete just fell right underneath his feet, and then he fell into basically a sinkhole, probably, I'm guessing, about 10 to 15 feet deep, just literally infested with rats.
That would be it'd be brutal. That would be brutal.
I brought that because it's kind of like our Semitic little vacation from Halloween. Got to keep it a little spooky.
Sure.
But I was also late. I had dialysis, but I was visiting my parents, and I'm sitting there, and we're talking, watching the game, and all of a sudden I get that butt jingle, and I pull out my phone, and hey, we good for 7? And I'm like, shit, I gotta go.
Oh yeah,
I was late.
Oh, was there a game on tonight?
Yeah.
What day is this?
Green Bay.
Oh, it's Thursday.
Thursday, baby.
We don't usually do
Green
this
Bay
on
and
Thursday.
Niners.
Yeah.
Got me all compuzzled. Not that it's worth keeping track in my world these days, but
So I got one. I don't have a few. I just have that one story. So.
well, that's perfect because I think, like I said, we've got a pretty full show tonight, and if we got time at the end, maybe we can express how we're feeling about things without getting political. No one gives a shit what we think anyway. But I think for now, let's get on to my soup de jour, and I'm looking forward to. I tend to win these kinds of quizzes more than the other kinds. I do better with your pop culture.
Yeah, you do.
Whenever you do, you sort of veer away from the usual, which is weird because I feel like I should do well in the weird news ones, but I just don't read the news.
I just don't think you spend as much time online as the rest of us.
No, not as much as I used to.
Yeah, you're just busy.
And I think that's why I used to be better. I used to spend a lot of time, a couple of pages would get you there. I followed a couple that I think you pulled from time to time. So, because things get reshared. But anywho, I am excited to get to this story because I got to be honest. Let me ask you guys: Are you fans of the game Monopoly?
I am.
Yeah.
It takes forever if you actually play it with people.
We'll talk about that. Into the game too.
It's you can do 4. You can do a 5 to 6 hour game. Easily.
Oh, for sure, easily. Mm-hmm.
I have to be honest with you, and I don't know when it exactly happened, but it was probably sometime in the late 90s, like 98, 99. I lost all ability to focus or have any sort of real fun with board games or tabletop games in general, except for Magic the Gathering. I just literally
couldn't.
Was there an incident?
I just literally couldn't do it. I just can't. Like, it just doesn't. You know what I mean? It just doesn't captivate my attention. Like, I don't know what it is, but
I'm similar. I'm similar to that. I don't really, especially long ones. I like simple. Like, my favorite games are like dominoes or something that you're not in it for even an hour if you don't want to be. You can extend it if you want. You can play different rounds or change the rules. But yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really have interest in sitting down and playing many board games. But if I did, it was almost never going to be Monopoly. In fact, I don't know if I've ever completed a game of Monopoly. I've sat down to one maybe a couple of times, and I was just bored. It just didn't speak to me. Nothing about it spoke to me. So when I started reading about the history of it, I was surprised how much of this was. Well, the history has little to do with the gameplay, and yet there's so much that ties into it in sort of an ironic or maybe comeuppance sort of way. So I'm excited to get to it. And it starts, I mean, Monopoly has had an insanely long run as the king of board games. It's the most popular licensed board game of all time, essentially. And, only the non-licensed sort of like public domain games like chess, checkers, that anybody can pick up and put out their own version of. Only those outsell Monopoly. Now, since its introduction to the market in 1935, over 250 million Monopoly board games have been sold. And at this point, over 1 billion people play it, have played it regularly. And nobody could have foreseen that, especially given its humble and very specific origins. But we can't start at 1935 where it was first released on the market, because you have to go back even further, because the true inception of the game is in 1903. An American woman by the name of Elizabeth McGee invented a board game she called the Landlord's Game as sort of a fun but educational tool to warn people of the negative aspects of capitalism, specifically concerning...
Oh, fuck, and it did the opposite.
Yeah, it's really interesting how the story twists and turns, but specifically concerning monopolies of large parcels of land and buildings owned by one or two entities. Now, McGee was a feminist and a Georgist, and I won't attempt to explain all aspects of Georgism here, but suffice to say it's founded on some of the core beliefs of Henry George, an American economist and social reformer. And the main takeaway for the purposes of this story is that these people were anti-capitalist, anti-monopolist, which is really curious when you consider the future of the board game. So McGee patented the game when she dialed it in, and she played it with friends and family, and they all sort of gave her the thumbs up, like this is really becoming a fun, sort of addictive game. She started self-publishing them in small runs, mostly to teachers earlier on, because remember, she wanted this to be sort of an educational tool. Now, her game was pretty complex for the day, and it included things like properties to buy and sell, railroads, utility spaces, and a jail. You know, the rough skeleton of the game Monopoly was there from basically day one. Now, in McGee's version, you could play under two sets of rules. The typical conquer and destroy to make yourself insanely rich and powerful at the expense of everyone else version that we all know. Or she also included the anti-monopoly variation, where all the players benefited from the accumulation of wealth. Her hope was that people would see the destructive nature of the 1% version versus the more, I suppose, socialist.
That's what we want.
But yeah, it didn't really work that way. But that was a setup. So over the years, the game became fairly popular, at least in McGee's circle of peeps. And back in these days, it was pretty common to invent house rules for even well-established games. Something we still see, but especially with things like dominoes and cards, but not on the level that you used to. You know, we mostly stick to the rules these days, unless we add booze into the mix, then all bets are off. But in those days, it was really common. It was like more common than not to fuck about with the rules. So as the game circulated, some people had made their own variations and additions. And eventually, many of these got back to McGee, who agreed that a lot of these are improvements. So she modified the game and then applied for a new patent to reflect those changes. And at that point, she had worked in cardboard houses, and little props and things started to be added in. Rents were adjusted for inflation because this was half a decade later, a decade and a half later, I should say. Now, one of the things that changed over the years outside of McGee's control were changing the street names. McGee had used actual street names around her neck of the woods, and as it spread out, other people chose street names that were in their neighborhoods. So these kind of got morphed, and at some point they just sort of kind of locked in place, and a lot of these older names that you hear and street names just kind of stuck. But for a while, it didn't matter. You know, who cares if it's Park Avenue or Madison Avenue or Fairview or, Wenatchee Avenue, for that matter. Wherever you were playing, you could customize it. This, of course, comes into play with the success of this game many, many years later, which we'll get to at some point. But so people were making this game their own, but she did have the patent, and she was able to sell this as the landlord's game. So by 1930, the game was popular in colleges, especially as a tool to teach these principles. Now, her hope, again, was that people who played the capitalist way would feel guilty about ruining everyone else in the game, and that would help drive home the Georgian principles. So instead of playing the prosperity rules, more people were, of course, drawn to the guy on the top of the big pile of money, maniacally laughing and swimming through the Scrooge McDuck money vault. And that's how more people had fun playing that version of the game. They had more fun being the cunt in the game. And
nice story.
And speaking of cunts, it was around this time that a teacher in Philadelphia who was a big fan of the game had invited some friends of his over for dinner and a round or two of the landlord's game. Now, this couple that was invited over was Esther and Charles Darrow. Charles was captivated by the game, and they ended up playing several hours that night. And when they left, Darrow asked if he could take the rule sheet with him because he wanted to look it over and get to know the game. And later on, he used that rule book to draw out his own version of the landlord's game with a few modifications. He made the board a larger circle And he started painting little icons onto the board, like little trains, in a style, very rudimentary style, that was sort of sprucing up McGee's version, which was fairly plain. You know, again, the skeleton of the overall look of the game was there. But Darrow then began hand making his own versions, and he called it Monopoly. And he just disposed of the whole prosperity part of the rule set because it was pretty well established in circles that played this game that you just kind of ignored that part.
Throw those to the side.
Shred those. Those aren't no fun
rich.
at all. So now Darrow was unemployed at the time, and so he had all day to spend time crafting these sets together, and he just hit the streets selling them for $4 each. It really even continued to sell well during the Great Depression, which one theory that's depressing is that this was sort of the ultimate escape from the poorhouse life. You know, you got to actually handle money. The fake money was there all along, and you could buy things and grow your wealth. And at least for a little while, you could feel like you had money and power and control of your life, which is a really depressing thought. But this is what caused people to spend their precious $4 on a board game in the middle of a time where they probably weren't spending a lot of money on games or anything that you would consider frivolous.
Can we get a roundabout on the on your favorite icon? And I think mine would have to be the hat.
Well, that's interesting. We'll talk about that in a bit too, but they change. So even if you had a favorite icon growing up, like I don't think the thimble is part of the set anymore. I feel like the hat might have went away too. You might be able to get like some sort of classic locked in time version, but yeah, some of the
you can 3D print whatever you fucking want.
That's true, but like no spoilers, but like there is like a fucking shit ton of those games and marketed on different things. So there's like 40 or 50 different Monopoly boards.
Oh yeah, there's like Star Wars,
just you wait.
Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Simpsons. I don't know. Ron's got the story.
Lord of the Rings.
To answer your question, I didn't play it enough to have a favorite. I'll let you guys answer if you had one that you were. If there's a cat now, like the dog was a popular one. I think from what I read, barring these. The Star Wars ones or all those other franchises where they would have had very specialized charms. From what I read, the overwhelming winner was the race car. I think because people just like to drive it from one property to the next. But
what were the classic original choices like?
Well, I feel like the car was pretty much always there. The thimble, and we'll talk about why there was a thimble. I feel like the dog was pretty early on. The hat, there was definitely a little.
It was like a schnauzer, wasn't it?
A little shoe.
Schnauzer?
Yeah, the dog was a schnauzer all along.
Mm-hmm.
But Chris, did you have a favorite?
I always remember picking a thimble. I'm surprised to hear it's no longer there.
Well, like I said, there must be a classic frozen in time version of the game, but they have manipulated and altered the charms all along. So if you have a classic set, then you got a classic set. But if you're buying one off the shelf today without digging for a special version, yeah, apparently the thimble has gone the way of the dodo, at least for now. They come and go. But anyway.
It's the final fucking straw of 2020.
This time, you've gone too far. So McGee had, by this time, approached game moguls Parker Brothers to sell them on the idea of the Landlord's Game, but they declined. And years later, Darrow, when he was selling his, approached them as well. And he was looking to sell the game outright, but he also got a no. But Darrow decided to just go straight to the department stores, which were a fairly new thing at that point, and they were selling pretty well. Now, the holidays were coming up, and word got back to the Parker Brothers company that this game was selling like crazy in the department stores. So the Parker Brothers was like, oh shit, that's that guy we just blew off. So they called Darrow up for a second meeting where they said, we thought about it and we've reconsidered. And Darrow said, that's great. I've reconsidered too. I don't want to sell it outright now, because he had seen the popularity and he saw the potential. So he said, I don't want to sell it outright now. I want to, I'll sell it for a flat fee, and I want a stake in the royalties moving forward.
Yeah.
They agreed, and that one decision made Darrow and his family for generations as rich as the Monopoly mascot, which his original name was Rich Uncle Pennybags, who, by the way, was added to the box not long after Parker Brothers acquired the game. Now, close your eyes. Before we move on, close your eyes and picture that old Monopoly dude. Describe to me what he looks like.
Well, he's got the top hat and the cane and the monocle, right? I think of Mr. Peanut. Fuck. The beard, like kind of like he's got like the looks like the guy from KFC a little bit in my brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does that sound about right to y'all?
Yeah.
He never wore a monocle, and it's one of those much discussed Mandela effect sort of things.
Really?
I could have sworn that little fuck had a monocle, but we probably did come. But that was my first thought, was that we combined Mr. Peanut with now his name is Mr. Monopoly, I believe, because they thought Rich Uncle Pennybags was just too pro cap, I suppose. But
wow.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating? He never wore a monocle. And if you Google the Monopoly guy, you will see images of him with a monocle, but that's because so many people have photoshopped it on to see this is what he looks like. But this is what he looked like in my memory. But when you see him with the monocle, it looks correct. It's crazy. Because when you see him without a monocle, it doesn't look correct. But there are you can go all the way back to the inception. You know, he's changed appearance to some degree, but it's him. It's always that character.
You were so glad I said monocle early, weren't you?
Dude, I was gonna say monocle too, so don't feel bad.
Everybody does. Most people say monocle before they say top hat, honestly.
I did a Google search. I was trying to find out the little icons, and I went to images and I clicked on one. And it's called the Plantation Monopoly board. And you want to talk about racist shit, but I think it's the same that I had when I was a kid. Because I do remember the Confederate chests, the little chest. So I think I had this game when I was a kid.
Wow.
There's a lot to unpack here, Lyle.
I'll save it and I'll send it to you. And then, but like it's just really heavy.
I'd love to see it. Yeah.
It's super heavy religious, but it's also a lot of green as well. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well that goes back to how these things were customized to fit their
square. And it says, "You're a Quaker, go to church." And it's got a Quaker dude. It's like, what?
Well, that's interesting because the Quakers were in love with this game. Yeah. In fact, they come into play in the trial later. That's not really part of my story. I'll try to figure out but yeah, they would have championships.
I'm sending it to you guys during over the Skype chat. I specifically remember those Confederate because it reminded me of Duke's Hazzard.
It's got the Quaker Oats guy on it.
Yes. When we were playing, this was in the late 70s, maybe 80s.
Confederates.
So I'd hate to land on the slave property tax. Wow.
Yeah, this isn't a joke, huh? This is like a... Well, I don't know why I would think it was a joke, because there are crazier versions that existed, even ones that were licensed. But again, this was a game that was it was pretty easy to replicate. I mean, if you got the board, you can make fake money. And before we move on, actually, going back to the charms, in Darrow's original version... There were no charms in the earlier version. You would just play with like little pegs. But in Darrow's version, they used charms in his household. And the reason that they're just random looking things is because that's what he told you to do.
What do you got?
He didn't include charms in his set. He would tell you to just...
Kind of cool.
Yeah, it was a smart way to do it because you didn't have to ship the pieces and you could have every piece would actually be special to you. He just said that he preferred to use a thimble because he just liked the way it's squished around on the board. And so when Parker Brothers picked it up, they actually talked to Darryl. Like, what do you suggest we do the charms with? And he said, well, I prefer the thimble. I told people to just grab whatever they had around the house. So they tried to kind of replicate that. His daughter would use a little boot that was off of one of her charms bracelet. And I think the wife had a pendant that had the schnauzer on it or something. I'm sort of paraphrasing here, but it was basically this. I can't remember the exact items where they came from, but that's how it developed. So that's the reason you see just random little toy-looking
That's right.
objects and charms in the Monopoly set. Before we move on from Rich Uncle Pennybags, just to put it out there, the likeness was based off J.P. Morgan, which I thought was worth noting. Anywho, now McGee was still trying to get her landlord's game into wider distribution without really even knowing about Monopoly at this point. Now, about this time, a little event by the name of World War II was unfolding, and this might actually be my favorite part of this entire tale, which is saying a lot because there's a lot to it. But as soon as there was war, there were POWs stuck in camps and jails out in the field in one of the fighting countries. Now, interestingly, prisoners were often allowed simple, I wouldn't call it luxury items, but just things to pacify the time, cards, dice, approved books, and board games to keep them from, totally losing their shit and revolting, I suppose. It would be a smart move to let them have some things. So Parker Brothers had licensed Monopoly overseas at this point, and one of those foreign companies producing games in England was Waddington's Ltd. So the British intelligence agency conceived of a pretty brilliant idea, and they contracted the Waddington LED people to make special POW versions of the Monopoly boards that had secrets tucked away inside them.
These must be, if you can, is this something you can still find?
Oh, there are people that have them. Yeah, they're all along the history of Monopoly, going back to the very earliest versions that the two inventors made. Versions of them can still be found, and they come up on auction, all the time. And so I'm sure that you can find. I didn't really look. I saw one. I saw an image with this story. I wasn't positive if I was looking at an actual one, but basically, it looked like a normal Monopoly game, but there was some pretty clear indicators that you were to peel off part of the lid. Underneath the lid, when you opened it up, you peeled it back, and on the other side of the board was like a map, an escape map, essentially, based on wherever their coordinates were. And there were other things that would help them escape. There was real money in there. There were basically just whatever you would need to escape and somehow find your way to safety, if not home completely. And they created a fake charity service that actually went around delivering these games to occupy the POWs. And apparently there are many documented stories of successful escapes from POW camps using hidden contraband in the Monopoly games from that one program thought up by the British intelligence agency. Isn't that fucking amazing?
If this isn't a movie, it should be a movie.
Yeah, a lot of this would be a great movie. It'd be hard to encapsulate it in real time, I suppose. But by the time the USSR was in full swing, these games were banned for pretty obvious reasons. And going back to the irony of it, because the original inventor was herself an anti-capitalist. And here the game she invented to warn people of the dangers of a capitalist society had become sort of a celebration of that idea. And a huge product itself of capitalism. It made millions and millions of dollars as a product. But as we know...
Irony...
the irony curtain. But even under scary, evil regimes, the people will find the way. And there have been some amazing bootlegged and even handmade versions of Monopoly brought to auction in recent times, made by the people behind the Iron Curtain so they could get their Monopoly fix. Some of these are really interesting to look at, especially the ones that were manufactured. I mean, it's cool to see the handmade ones, but they were like people, the same way that they were printing up records on X-rays to get the rock and roll out to the kids at the latter part of the Cold War. There were like underground print shops.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah, that's a rad story. This is a similar thing where it's just like there were underground print shops risking their literal lives to get these games out to people that they wanted to play that Monopoly. What an ultimate slap in the face to the crown. So by this time, people had started to reach out to Parker Brothers saying, oh, wait a tick, we've played this game before and it didn't quite look like this. And eventually they learned about Lizzie McGee. So they questioned Darrow about it. And of course, Charles Darrow never said anything about McGee all along the way. In fact, he never even said that he played the game with his friends. He claimed that he simply thought it up and invented it all in his basement. And because that was such a good rags to riches story, here was a man unemployed, basically right in the middle of the Great Depression, that in and of itself helped sell the story of Monopoly. So Parker Brothers wasn't too keen on breaking that bit of a story up. But they also had to worry about, is someone out there going to sue us? And as it turns out, she was heading that way, because now at this point, McGee had learned about the Monopoly version
Wait a second.
of her game. She's like, wait a tick, I too have seen this game before. You always deny in the beginning, I suppose. And he claimed he never saw the game before. But that earlier copy of the game that he played with his friends had a street that endured in the later versions, or an area called Marvin Gardens. But they had accidentally misspelled Marvin. They used the more traditional I instead of the lesser traditional E, as the real-life Marvin Gardens was spelled. So Darrow's version had that same typo, and there were other things sort of like that where it didn't quite make sense why he would have the same mistake. But either way, it was becoming clear, for a lot of reasons, to Parker Brothers that McGee had at least co-invented the game. So Parker Brothers brought her, they bought out her patent for $500. Now, this was a chunk of dough back then, but considering that Darrow's got closer to $10,000 and a lifetime of royalties, not so grand for the original inventor. Now, not long after that, McGee passed away, and there was no mention or credit of her contribution to Monopoly, really at all.
What a dick.
Rude.
In fact, it wouldn't be until decades later that the story of Lizzie McGee would actually become well known, and it's such a fitting way that it did become well known. More on that in just a bit. But in the 1980s, things got even bigger for Monopoly as they started, as we mentioned earlier, licensing these franchises. Just about any popular movie or TV show you can think of has been turned into a Monopoly board. I think Lyle threw out 50. It's actually over 300 Monopoly games that have been based on things like Lord of the Rings. In fact, here's a little page. It's just starting, I'm not going to list all these, of course, 007, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s version, AC/DC collector. AC/DC comes up a lot lately. Let's see what else. So many things that I don't even recognize what they are. They have them by state. They have an Arkansas edition. They have a Washington edition. They got let's see what else. The Bible version. They got the Bill Gates World edition. We're just in the B's now, and I am skipping rapidly. Brewopoly, a brewery edition.
Is there an Iron Maiden version?
Boy, I wouldn't be surprised if there was. Coca-Cola edition.
There should be, right?
Dukeopoly. I wonder if that's Dukes of Hazzard. You got to look into some of these. Crocodile Dundee. They made a Crocodile Dundee Monopoly.
I don't know if this is
That's not a property. This is a property. Oh, wow. There's a Ghettopoly. That doesn't seem... that doesn't seem right. Anyway, let me skip down to see if there is an official Iron Maiden one. No, there is an Irishopoly, though.
Irish Maiden.
There's probably an unofficial Maiden one. There's an I Love Lucy one.
There is a Jurassic Park one. Is there a Jurassic Park one?
Jurassic Park. This would have been a fun one for Chris to do his. There's a Jurassic World edition, for us to guess which ones were.
I think that the S's are going to be weighted heavily. There's going to be Simpsons, Star Trek, Star Wars for sure.
Superman.
I was curious about Simpsons. Let's see. Probably is. Yeah, there's 5. Sure. There's 5 Simpsons editions.
Holy fuck.
Treehouse of Horror, Airlines edition. 4. I skipped ahead. I don't see a Star Trek. There is a here's the Star Treks. There's 5 Star Treks. And let's see, 9 Star Wars editions.
Oh my god.
Super Mario Collector's Edition.
Okay.
There really is very little that hasn't been done in terms of like mainstream I suppose family friendly would have to be part of it, which is maybe why we're not seeing.
Is there Doctor Who? Is there Doctor Who Monopoly?
Let me hop back there. Boy, that seems
Well, I
like
bet you
something that's just begging to be done.
Or Harry Potter. Oh, there's got to be Harry Potter.
Oh, well, here's
Potter,
I'm at H right here. There's Harley Davidson, quite a few Harleys. Harry Potter edition. Well, no, that's an unlicensed one. Doesn't look like there has been an official Harry Potter edition. That
seems weird to
surprising. Me. Well, you know, a lot of this comes down to, like, you can't just partner with anybody. These are all parent companies that have fucked other parent companies, and so if you're fucking one of your parent companies' dire enemies, I was going to say cousins, but you can fuck your cousins, then you probably couldn't get away with it. What was the other one you guys wanted me to look up besides Harry Potter?
Doctor Who.
Oh, Doctor Who. Tons of Disney ones. Yeah, Doctor Who edition and a Doctor Who 50th anniversary. That sounds like the fun one. Then you'd have your choice of doctors. I would
What
assume.
about Adventure Time? Is there an Adventure Time Monopoly?
Every time I close out, you ask for another one. Let me get take one more peek.
Well, it gives me a second to talk about it because I think
there is an Adventure Time collector's edition.
Wow.
See, it's harder to guess something that isn't included. Yeah, go ahead, Lau.
It's crazy. Well, it's just the thought, you know, of like our generation, we had that. It's something that, like, newer generations really don't fall towards, like, you know, family time like that, working with different games. Like when growing up, you had like Chutes and Ladders. They were more of an educational step up until you got into, you know, as a teenager, and then you'd start playing like, you know, obviously more adult games like Scrabble and stuff like that. But these board games, I mean, for us in our generation, it was, you know, it was a given. Everybody played them. Nowadays, it's not really played as much. You know, most people are on their phone or.
There's a bit of a resurgence because of places like coffee shops and more cozy bars that aren't like loud, obnoxious sports bars, but they're more like quaint, cozy cocktail lounges, which is a good place to play dominoes. I play dominoes at bars more than anywhere else.
And I noticed,
but yeah, it'll never be what it was in the heyday.
I think Settlers of Catan had a big hand in the resurgence of board games.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, Cards Humanity too. I mean, that was also a big resurgence back to it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, people remembered how much fun it was to sit around a table and just play some shit. Which, speaking of that, why don't we go around the table here? And Lyle mentioned mine. My favorite board game of all time is Scrabble. I'm not exquisite at it. I don't often win, but it's my favorite to play. If we're taking tile games off, I guess dominoes would be my all-time favorite. Lyle, what about you? Favorite board game of all time?
You might want to correct me on it because I'm not sure if I'm right or not. It's been so long. What is it? It's Sorry was a good one. Sorry was fun.
Sorry's really fun. That drove me crazy as a kid. That's one of those where someone would just screw you and you'd want to kill them.
Exactly.
Like Uno. They give you that draw 4 shit when you were about to go out and like, God damn it. And then reverse and give you another one. Yeah.
My favorite was, I think it was called Trouble. It had the big bubble in the middle.
The pops the dice?
Yeah. So fun.
Yeah, and it was timed. It was a timer.
Yeah. So much fun. Good game.
Pop-O-Matic pops the dice.
It was simple. It was super simple.
Yeah. Well, all the classics are simple. John Mark, what about you? Favorite board game?
God, I don't know.
Before you started hating
them? Sorry was pretty good.
Yeah.
And Trouble was pretty good.
It's so simple.
Probably one of those, probably. Yeah. I mean, are we talking like board games or card games?
Just board games, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Tabletop.
So I'll probably say like
tabletop.
Sorry or Trouble.
Chris, what about you?
You know, child me, Mousetrap all the way. Trap that mouse, baby.
Yeah. No respectable adult loves Mousetrap.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should change that. Let's bring it back.
It's just
take it back.
Have you seen the life-size versions of it that people have built? It's pretty amazing.
Adult me really likes Phase 10 and Mexican Train Dominoes.
Oh yeah, Mexican Train is my favorite variation of dominoes for a group. You know, good stuff. Well,
what was the doctor game? We had to pull the bones out of the doctor.
Operation?
Yeah.
Yeah, Operation.
I suppose you could count that as a board game. That feels like one of those sort of like hybrids though, where it's almost a video game. Almost. Of course, there's no video, but yeah. No, for sure. We played the one that always gave me. It was called Perfection. Remember Perfection? It should have been called Pant Shitting Anxiety because that clock was the loudest tick. It was like and then when it went bang, it shot that shit all over the place, and it sounded like you dropped a bucket of Legos on a hardwood floor. It was so loud and jarring, and it was like Papa Weasel, or what's that? Boom, ba-doom, ba-doodle, pop goes the weasel. It's like, you know it's coming. It's like,
Jesus Christ. Like that Pop Weasel game.
Papa Weasel. I think I was combining Papa Weasel.
Hey, I seen Papa. I seen Papa. I was gonna say
Papa Wheelie. Papa Weasel open for Third Eye Blind.
Exactly.
That's the Papa Weasel open for Drive Like Yahoo in '95.
Oh, not bad at all. Well, let me wrap up here. The conclusion is fairly satisfying. We have to, of course, mention that Monopoly continued to dominate, and when they made a very, very successful decision to partner with McDonald's in 1987. Now, at that point, Hasbro owned the game. More on that in a bit. But they launched this peel and play idea at Monopoly at McDonald's. And I think most people know at this point, because of the documentary series, that this was pretty early on tainted, because the head of the security department for Simon Marketing, which was the company that McDonald's contracted to promote and run the game, was stealing winning game pieces and giving them to other people. Now, some that he knew, distant contacts. He was smart enough to not just give it to his brother and then his cousin and the big ones anyway. He gave his immediate family the smaller prizes, but he would give them some of those big prizes that everyone was collecting for and just dying to get that one piece. And it was like something out of 1 out of 150 million pieces to win that last one, something insane like that. They never had a chance because those pieces never left the print shop. So he would steal those away and then work out deals with people. It's like, all right, I get 30% of this, and then you are the face. You're the one that holds up the big check. You're the one that goes and collects it, and you answer all the questions from TV and newspaper interviews, and I just take my cut. And then he moved on and did it, and this went on for a long time. I want to say it was like 150 million that he ended up. Maybe not. It's millions, like tens of millions of dollars that he stole from the company. Now, there's so much to that. That's its whole other convoluted tale, and I'll only add, just watch the series McMillions on HBO for the full story. I never played the McDonald's Monopoly proper. Well, I didn't really know how to play Monopoly back then. But, I won a lot of free food. I remember...
well, that's the thing. You just collect the pieces and you just get the free fucking fries with the soda.
That's the only thing I ever paid attention. I didn't know what anything else meant. But I remember one time I peeled off a large fry as we were pulling out of the drive-thru, and we just pulled right back into the drive-thru. It was like, yeah, can I get my free fry now? Or That was a day of being rich to Broke Ronnie in 1996. Let me tell you, we got to do a double lap in the old drive-through. But
I got a confession to make. Guys were proud of me for not being sober for the year 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that I was not doing is I didn't have fast food until today. I was running late for dialysis and I needed food because you can't go in there on an empty stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped at McDonald's and got an Egg McMuffin, and let me tell you, garbaggio. I mean,
it's 50-50
the toilet, man.
Because sometimes when you've gone a long time without fast food and you finally get it, it's like, oh my god, this is
was
crack.
it an Egg McMuffin or was it a sausage McMuffin with cheese? Because there's a difference.
Sausage McMuffin.
I go with sausage McMuffin with egg.
I don't like eggs, but I typically make them. So I make them with butter. I don't use grease. And so they're nice and buttery and they taste real good.
Yeah.
The ones that are there, fucking just nothing but grease in them back.
Yeah, I always loved that though. You just squeeze it all out with the fucking. I preferred it on, definitely the McMuffin, not the biscuit. You want that dry, flaky biscuit bullshit? Give me that greasy, ooey gooey, well toasted English muffin. Yeah, I miss eating that shit. But I'd probably be grossed out by fast. I haven't eaten fast food in a long time. I stopped eating it even when I could eat it. I just didn't want it because I knew things.
Well, I quit because of COVID. I didn't want to get sick from somebody being sick.
Good call.
Food, so
Good call.
itself ever since. But like, it's been a year since I had McDonald's until today. So shame on me, shame.
Yeah, well, live and learn. Now you know. I think you're better off having food in your gut, though, no matter what.
Sure.
That particular.
Sure.
So anyway, how do we know all this? Now, in the early 1970s, San Francisco State University economics professor Ralph Anspach, who was a bit of a kindred spirit with Lizzie McGee, wanted to make his own version of the game called Anti-Monopoly. And it was pretty much for the same reasons that McGee invented it to begin with. And it really became popular at his college, and Anspach started selling them to a larger market. And he was, once word got out, he was sued by Parker Brothers for infringement, and it led to a really strange case that lasted over 10 years, during which Anspach discovered the original patents filed by Lizzie McGee back in the early 1900s. And up until now, everyone thought the game was invented and developed by Charles Darrow in 1935. So the court determined that Monopoly and its hazy history were a bit too generic and undefined to be trademarked correctly. So Anspach was allowed to continue selling Anti-Monopoly. Now, Parker Brothers sort of regrouped, and they later fought back, and it seems like they settled out of court later on. But whatever that settlement was, it left room for Anspach to continue selling his board game called Anti-Monopoly. Get it to this day. And Parker Brothers was able to snug up their trademark a little bit tighter on it. So those loopholes were all closed after this case. But
those trademarks are a mother trucker. I tell you what, one of my favorite guitars of all time is the Kurt Hammett Ouija board, the ESP. It's a beautiful guitar, and it's got basically a Ouija board.
Mm-hmm. Did he use the Parker Brothers image?
And he used the Parker Brother image, and he was able to get away with it, I think, for like 2 years, maybe 3 years.
Yeah, as long as they don't know.
Well, then they sued. So now it's like you can't use that.
Well, now those guitars are super rare and valuable, I bet.
I think last time I checked, I saw one on eBay that was used for about $10,000.
It is funny when you close your eyes to imagine a Ouija board. Most people do picture the Parker Brothers design. Mm-hmm. It is kind of a classic and very successful design.
It's the icon of the lady at the table, and then the yes or no's, and the moons. That's the giveaway. But it was exactly like the Kurt Hammett guitar. It had that. So
yeah.
I've always been keeping an eye out for them. You see them. It's funny. It was because you can see knockoffs all the time, and they're reasonable. They're like $500-600, but they're knockoffs. They're just made in China. They're not ESPs, but they even have the same ESP labeling. It looks like all out. It's a ESP guitar.
Yeah,
but it's little signs that prove it to be wrong. But
they'll find you eventually if you're using their shit. Parker Brothers
can't be stealing people's stuff.
So Parker Brothers later sold their game rights to Hasbro, who still honors that agreement with Ralph Anspach to this day, that Anti-Monopoly is allowed to be sold. So really, this was when the world at large learned that Charles Darrow did not invent Monopoly, that he just made some adjustments, many of which stuck, and we all agree those were good improvements, but he straight up stole the idea, sold it for an eternity of riches, and just never bothered to tell anyone the truth. But
fucking wild.
It was only long after her death, decades after her death, that Lizzie McGee finally got her acknowledgement in the end. But isn't that a perfect story for that game? Like it contains like everything that the original inventor was for, and everything the later inventor was for, and everything everyone around them was trying to do is all contained in the game to some degree. And in the end, it just ended up being the #1 selling board game in history.
Every time you say McGee, I think of fucking Janis Joplin.
Good enough for me and my Lizzie McGee. Yeah, I kept thinking about that when I was working on my notes. Interestingly, I did not look this up. Maybe we should look this up to get more deets. But so a very well-known director recently, back in 2015, acquired the film rights to make a Monopoly movie. Now, not the story of Monopoly, a movie about the game, somehow about the game, or
Like,
based on the
straight
game.
up like
Kind of like a CGI.
A Monopoly movie. Yeah. Now, I don't know what that would look like, but take a guess who that famous director is. I think you'll be surprised.
Tim Burton.
Steven Spielberg.
Oh, you're both in, well, yeah, you're in the wheelhouse, I suppose. John Mark, you got a shot at it.
George Lucas.
Ridley Scott.
Yeah, interesting.
Imagine what Ridley Scott would do with the Monopoly movie. Now, I have no idea what his angle would be, but it seemed like it's not based on the Monopoly story. He bought the rights of the game Monopoly to be converted into a movie. So is it a movie about a tycoon, a real estate tycoon? I don't know.
No, what would be amazing is if he took all his movies and put it into the game. So, like, if you go to prison, you have a chest burster coming out of your chest. It'd be so good.
Well, but he's not making a game; he's making a movie.
They did Clue pretty well, so I can think of like
that Clue movie is brilliant.
Coming up with some characters based on some people trying to like do the Monopoly thing, and then just like having kind of like a weird sort of zany movie based about that.
Yeah. Didn't they do like Battleship? God, they've done some real. I think Slinky had.
They did do Battleship.
The official Slinky movie is a thing that's in the works. I might be confusing, but doesn't that sound as fucked up as where we're at? Yeah. It's Michael Bay's doing it. It's called.
You know it's gonna be good then.
That should be a trivia question there. How many board games have been turned into
movies? That is a good, trick question with Jumanji.
How? Yeah. We've done all the books. We got all the video games we wanted. Fucking Monopoly.
Can you guys even think of one more?
Of what?
Like any board games that have been? Right, yeah, Battleship's been claimed.
I'm sure. I mean, Shoots and Ladder. Wasn't Shoots and Ladder like a movie, like a kids movie or something?
That'd be one repetitive movie, man. First we go up, and you guessed it. Woo! Shoots and Ladders. That could be for toddlers, tots as they call them. Yeah, I can't think of any other. I guess the Legos is kind of close. That's not a board game, but it's a tabletop doing.
Ouija.
Oh, you said Battleship.
That's funny.
Twice.
Stroke, it's no big deal.
Yeah, I can't think of any other board. There's probably someone out there yelling like something.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, there you go. I count that for sure. Yeah. I suppose RPG games. There's probably a ton just right there. I just don't know that world.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Well, let's get on to. I am dying to know how we do with this movie quiz. Speaking of film franchises,
I think you guys are going to do well. I think you guys these are fun questions. I think you've probably seen all these movies or know all these people we're going to talk about. 15 quick questions. They're going to be some in traditional news quiz format and some just true false. And I'm just going to make you answer as if I would normally. We're not going to text. Make it simple.
Okay.
What else was I going to say? We're going to go in traditional format since Ron seems to do pretty well at these. I'm going to make him go first. People behind you will have the benefit of hearing your answer. Okay. Y'all ready for this? Where's John Mark?
He sounds so sad. Where's John Mark? Yeah, where's John Mark? Is he peeing? I almost snuck away to pee too.
That is sneaky.
Well, you want to take 30 seconds? I could pee.
I'm outside with the dog. Sorry.
Oh, I could pee, but I don't need to.
All right, I'm gonna hold it in. Y'all ready for this?
Let's train up our bladder. It is more full. It is more full.
Okay. All right, question one, motherfuckers. The movie Home Alone was written by John Hughes, who also brought us The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Pretty in Pink, etc. True or false? John wrote the movie Home Alone based off of a real-life experience that happened to him as a child, including two bandits trying to break into his home.
Oh.
Monster, true or false?
Something familiar about that. Of course, it would sound familiar because there was a movie. I'm going to say true.
I heard that.
I heard about a kid being left behind during the holidays, and there was can't
Wouldn't believe it, but took a paint bucket and put a string
paint. Ooh, that's a painful shot, isn't it? Right to the melon.
False.
Okay. Lyle.
I'm gonna have to say. I gotta sing it like a ballad. Now, what do they call those movies where you're singing it all the time?
Musicals?
A musical.
We're gonna music.
One of those movies with all the music.
You're singing
You know,
all-
I'm gonna say that mainly your question is probably the factual part of the story, saying that he probably did write it about being home alone and having two criminals kind of try to break into his house as a child.
So Lyle says yes. Okay. True.
Yeah, factual.
It was.
I'm going to send you an F for factual.
it was false. I made that one up, guys.
Oh, good job.
Point.
Really sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Like there was
All right,
a movie
speaking-
based on it.
See, this is what I wanted. I wanted to laugh a little bit and get fucked up. Question 2. Speaking of Home Alone, almost every single indoor shot in the movie Home Alone was filmed on a stage that was built here. Was it A, an unused minor league sports arena? Was it B, a newly constructed but not yet used prison? Was it C, a warehouse that would eventually become one of Amazon's biggest warehouses?
Whoa.
Or was it D, an emptied high school pool?
Who to what now?
Ronst?
That's tough. I feel like the prison would be most likely to make a story. It's the only reason I'm going with it. I have zero leadings toward which way to guess that.
Okay. John Mark.
Something about the high school pool sounds familiar, so I'm going with that.
I thought so too, but then I thought, well, it made me think of It's a Wonderful Life.
I'm gonna try to do this. All the shit that you buy on Amazon sits in a warehouse, and that's what we filmed it. Yeah.
That's a good story too.
All right.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
The correct answer was an emptied high school pool. That's how they were able to do so much with the wet bandits, motherfuckers.
Even like
Or
the
the flooding
stairs?
sequences. Like remember the flooding sequences
that
of the
does
water
make
running down
sense.
the...
God, I should have
Yeah.
thought about. I have not seen that movie nearly, and I've seen it like maybe half of once.
I don't think I've even seen it all the way through, to be honest with you.
I don't.
Oh,
That's
no,
what I'm saying. I haven't
seriously?
either.
Like the beginning.
was-
of
It was one of those games that
What's wrong with you guys?
It was one of those
Keep
movies
in
that I
mind.
didn't see at the right age. This
Yeah.
happens a lot. If you don't see it at the right age, you're not going back to see that shit when you're 22.
And the thing is slap the whole slap genre of comedy. It lasts.
Real slaps. I mean, I guess it was slapsticky, maybe.
Yeah,
Slap genre.
I'm exactly Macaulay. I'm exactly Macaulay Culkin's age,
A
so
little bit.
it was a movie. It was perfect for me.
You were like, he's my peer.
Words
Like we're the same.
That's how I'd approach it. Why, I'd go to the
spirit
garage
animal?
and see what I had, rig it up. Yeah, the flooding thing, that really should have been I remember the flooding, though. But yeah, I would consider that a slapstick. Any movie where there is more than 10 blows to somebody's head, I think you got to call either horror
Did you ever
or
see some of
slapstick.
those articles about the examinations of like what the real things that would have happened to someone with those traps would have happened to those
I feel
guys?
like, didn't
Like,
someone
the-
do like a Photoshop or
the
a
bodily
video?
trauma
No.
that would have happened
Maybe
to
someone
you
They
in
did
real
the
life?
CGI
Oh, the
version
horror
of it.
version
it
of
was
it.
gory, and it was so disturbing.
Oh, there's one of the Avengers. If you look it up, go look up Avengers.
That's right.
Uh,
Who
it's
is that? Who does these?
That one was a film company out of California, Corridor Films, and they did this one with the Avengers on like if it was real, and it's
Yeah,
The
it's
Avengers,
hilarious.
Story, like
Yeah.
I said, like just ripping
Well, like
people apart.
yeah, they would like throw somebody with his shield or something, and the dude would just explode on the wall. I mean, it was
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
It's
Cool.
Corridor Films on YouTube. Check them out.
That sounds
I
like
think
the
that's-
boys.
I think
You
that's
guys
the
been watching
one-
The Boys. at
Yeah.
all?
I haven't watched
Yes,
The
of
boys.
course.
now.
Both
It
things.
sounds like The Boys.
Yeah, it does. All right, let's move on, guys. I got a lot of these to get through.
All right.
Okay, question 3. True or false? In the 1986 movie Labyrinth, David Bowie plays 2 different characters. Brunster.
Sure false.
Fuck. I feel like I should know if he did. He plays 2 different characters? I'm trying to...
He's credited and played 2 different characters.
I'm trying to think of who he could possibly have played other than the prince. I'm going to say the king. I'm going to say no. He probably did. He's probably some
false.
fucking... Yeah, I'm going to say false on that one. I'm like staring so hard at the bottom of my skull, like searching for something. I don't. Well, if he did, this was a bit of trivia that I never knew or didn't retain, but I can't think of anything that would be him.
Okay, John Mark.
Man, it's been a fucking long time since I've seen Labyrinth, and I saw that fucking movie in the theater, and I loved it, but I don't remember David Bowie being anything other than the Goblin King, so I'm going to say false.
And we all remember the first time we saw that movie. Like, it's so memorable. I didn't see it in the theater, but I must have seen it. We rented it. We were staying at my friend Jimmy Talbot's house, who lived in 2 different houses that burned to the ground.
Jesus
no
Christ.
one ever went
Jimmy Talbot
at
needs to stop playing with matches.
I think I told the story on the old show, but that second time his house was burning down was in the middle of school, and he was pacing in the classroom, and the teacher was like, "Jimmy, sit down. What are you doing?" He's like, I feel like something bad's happening. His house was like 2 miles away.
Oh my God, I do remember you.
And he was pacing and pacing and pacing. He was like, I have to go call mother. So he disappeared. And then 2 or 3 days later, we all heard that his house was burning down at that fucking time. And that just wigs me out to this day, man. Jimmy Talbot.
That's nuts.
I got a friend at work that he goes, "Take me home." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Dude, take me home. My house is on fire." I'm like, "What?" He lived in Rock Island. And I was like, "All right, let's go." Fucking sure as shit, dude. His house is halfway burnt down.
Damn. I've said, I've used the pickup line, "Take me home, my pants are on fire," but that doesn't work. So it turns out that's a symptom.
I guess with the question answering of a little bit of logic in behind it. I'm thinking that the production value of those movies were so fucking high end through puppet mastering and all that, the props and design and stuff like that, that it was really hard to find good actors. And I'm figuring that he was probably good at something else also, and they needed somebody to stand in for a little stand-in part. So I'm going to say he doubled. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Interesting analyzing. So Lyle says true. Lyle is right. Now, listen, to be fair, I'm not a Labyrinth guy. Every time I watch that movie, it makes me feel a little weird for some reason because I think it scared me as a kid.
Is it the bulge? It's the bulge, right?
It's the bulge.
It makes us all feel a little weird, Chris.
The bulge brings me back. It's the other stuff. But apparently, he not only plays the Goblin King.
Ground me, grounding boner.
Retrieving boner?
Bring me back, grounding boner. Okay. That one just almost slipped by me without hearing. I would have died laughing while editing back. Okay, so what are we at? What's the story?
The other role he's credited with playing, and I may be wrong, but I think you see it in a photograph or something, is Jeremy, the fellow actor that Sarah's mother left her father for.
No, in the role.
Oh, he's just in a photo.
I think that's what it is.
Interesting.
That was the screenshot I saw, at least with this trivia factoid.
That's a little tidbit I didn't know. Interesting.
I demand a recount.
I'm going to look that up.
Oh,
I want to see the picture.
I'm suing every of you.
And the grounding boner will not save you this time.
Look at it correctly.
Lyle got that correct.
Wow, I'm not doing well this time.
No, but there's lots of room
Still
to grow
20
here,
to go.
Monster. And we know you're not really a shower.
Still time to get a bulge.
Grounding blood.
Some people have a worry stone or a rosary. Christopher has a grounding boner. Bring him back from those times. I'm on team grounding boner. I think we just invented the new Monopoly charm.
Just a bulge.
Okay. All right, question 4. Recently, we lost a legend. The one and only Sean Connery passed away. Yeah, he said one about his personal life. What'd you say?
That death was that happened pretty quietly.
Over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, he went in his sleep.
Nice. 90 years old, though. Fuck.
He's an old man.
Right.
Did it all.
I mean,
Legend.
there was some controversy we all read about, I'm sure, with some of his views on how women should be treated.
I never.
Violence, perhaps.
The original grabbing by the pushy.
You can't deny. Separate the art from the artist. He was just a prolific actor. And somebody I think on more than one occasion we've talked about who's going to die next, and I've always said Sean Connery. I just thought I was surprised he was alive at one point.
Yeah, I think Will Shatner was one of my picks. I can't remember what the other ones were, but
I think the Shat's going to be around for a bit. He is doing it.
Yeah,
when we went to the Bahamas last year, we drove by Sean Connery's the first house that he bought there in the Bahamas, and apparently it was like on this main road, and he lived there for a long time. But apparently he'd bought a different house and moved somewhere that was kind of like a little bit more squirreled away.
Sure. Bahamas.
But it was interesting because it was like right on the edge of it's basically on the edge of the island, and you go around this road, and there's a main road there, and then like right on the corner, which is like essentially like there was his house, and then there was like the ocean. It was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
You guys all have seen the iconic image. It's like I want to say 70s movie, maybe 60s. Where he's got the gun straps and he's wearing like a fucking Speedo. Sean Connery.
Oh yeah, isn't that Zarloff or what's that movie?
I don't know. Well, John Mark's story. That's all I could imagine in my
Zardos. It's Zardos.
Yeah,
Zardos.
That's a fucking weird movie, man. There's a ton of tits in that movie. I think his entire character just fucks all the tits.
Can we call off our favorite Sean Connery movies? Roll a roundabout.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with the Highlander, man.
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
that movie, you couldn't have done it with anybody else, I don't think.
Yeah, that's. I would say Highlander is one of my favorites too. And all the James Bonds, and then that one Indiana Jones that he did.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I would have gone with Indiana Jones. That was my favorite. It was like a rare character where he was lovably cantankerous, but I feel like my favorite James Bond movie is Goldfinger. Yeah, so I got to go with Goldfinger.
We named a dog Indy.
That's a great movie. One thing I learned recently about arguably the most famous Mr. Bond was this. Is it A? He got to choose the title to every Bond movie he starred in.
I want to call it Octopussies.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, he picked some doozies, if so.
Was it B? He nearly turned down the iconic role of Bond to star in a children's movie that never actually went to production.
That's weird.
Is it C? He wore a toupee in every single Bond movie he starred in.
It's been real.
Or is it D? He actually hated martinis and constantly complained about having to drink them on set.
Oh, martinis.
Ronster.
That is tough. I feel like... I feel like he never really... Oh, this isn't something that he admitted. This is something that we found out. Is that right?
This is, it's just true.
Okay.
One of them is true.
we don't know the source. Okay. Well, not knowing the source, I would lean toward the toupee thing because there are some pretty early films of Sean Connery where it looked like he was already thinning out upstairs. I don't think they would have possibly let him name the James Bond movies. And those names are so Ian Fletcher, who wrote the book, for the most part anyway. So I'm going to go with C. That was the toupee, right? Or no, B.
Yep.
Oh, whatever one the toupee is.
It was C. Yeah, you got it.
We've always wondered.
Okay.
Same with Shatner.
You say toupee.
It's weird when they don't admit it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna go with he almost turned it down and was gonna go to the children's movie. What would B?
Okay. All right.
I'm thinking the man was probably, and I'm just a feeling. I'm reaching out to the stars here. was probably more of a whiskey man and not a
No, we're
martini.
playing the field here. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. Ronster was right. Sean Connery started going bald at 19.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Every single James Bond movie you've seen him in, where he has that full head of hair, it's a toupee. I was shocked to learn that. I did not. I mean, I think of him as bald now. By the way, I love the movie The Rock. I know it's fucking cheesy and Michael Bay and all that jazz. He was great in The Rock.
It was one of his better movies, Michael Bay, I thought. I mean, It was, for the time it came out, and it was an interesting concept. So,
Well, and it was a good production.
I was in junior high, so what the fuck do I know?
yeah, that's fair too. Listen, if we watched a lot of the movies that we loved in junior high now, for the first time, we'd be like, "Who the fuck is watching this shit?" That's just truth.
Be watching what was it, The Lost Boys? And
Yeah, I still feel like The Lost Boys holds up in a weird way because the key to holding up is not taking yourself too seriously. Now, there's some cheesy shit in The Lost Boys, but they don't take themselves too seriously. The movie itself.
Do we need to do a Netflix watch party or some shit like that?
Oh God, we've been way too long doing that. But we'll talk about that.
Are you guys surprised that The Lost Boys hasn't been rebooted yet and probably gender reversed?
Well,
I kind of am.
They did the Frog Boys.
Fucking crazy vampire revival like a few years ago, right? And it's like, what the fuck?
They did. They did some sort of sequel, but it was like wasn't it just the Frog Boys?
Keep it. I'd love to see it rebooted, but kept in the '80s with like the fucking hairstyles and all that jazz.
Well, would you like to see all the same characters but older? Because that's what I'd love to see.
Like where they are now?
Yes.
Well, have you seen
you couldn't keep it in the 80s, obviously, but you could keep the same characters and the ones that are still alive.
What was that? What was it? Fright Night? Was that the vampire movie from the 80s that they did reboot with what's his name? Colin. Yeah, that was really good.
It was so good.
Did I
Ron,
see
you saw that, right? Yeah,
you
talking about. I remember we did. There's that scene where the light comes down and he like hisses at it. Remember, he's like.
Oh, that's right. He was catty.
I remember you talking.
I forgot about that. Completely forgot about that. And that's the only thing I can remember with my shot brain is that scene because Christopher brought it up. I just watched Fright Night again, the original. That's one of mine that I try to watch every Halloween. That one holds up too. It's dated, but it's so good.
You know what I'd like to see is the Lost Boys, right? And what was the older brother and Star, his girlfriend or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to fuck it up by throwing some just known freaking actor in there to ruin it, but somebody that kind of based like they could be their grandsons and coming into L.A., California, and meeting like the old man, the grandpa, have him be the grandpa. As of now, as 2020, the older brother, he could be like the grandpa.
Yeah, I like that idea. They would fuck it up somehow, though. They looks like they did two Lost Boys sequels. Lost Boys: The Tribe and Lost Boys: The Thirst, starring Corey Haim.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Jason
Wow.
Yeah, Hamer did. I think he did.
Yeah, he's probably like. Into fucking paycheck, baby.
Was Corey Feldman in that one too, or does any of the sequels?
No, he was dead. He was dead by then.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
no, Corey Feldman. Corey Haim is dead.
Corey Haim was.
Oh yeah, I got it mixed up. Come on, guys. We've all mixed up the Corys, right?
Even the Corys have mixed up the Corys. Which one am I?
Corey Feldman is a fucking dumpster fire. I feel so bad for that guy. Sounds like he's.
It's hard to know what's really gone on there.
He's very earnest, though.
When he started going towards being like Michael Jackson, this is kind of like when I kind of quit watching.
Yeah. Who knows what he's endured.
Rock band.
Yeah. All right, let's round up question 5 here. True or false? Freddie Mercury actually got to watch the infamous Wayne's World scene that featured Wayne and Garth rocking out to Bohemian Rhapsody. True or false?
Mamma mia, mamma mia.
In the interest of speeding this along, I'm not going to mull over this too long, but I'm trying to do the math here when Freddie Mercury died. But my gut tells me no.
Hush, Miller.
False.
I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, I'm going to say false. That'd be great for him to know that Queen had, or even more now. They've had more of a resurgence now than even the Wayne's World era. But
man, this is a tough one.
These are hard.
I'm leaning towards Ron's answer too. I'm going to say false as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be a jerk and say yeah.
Well, interestingly, did you have an analysis? I'd be happy to hear it.
I could. It was about 1987 or 88 the movie came out, and so like I'm not sure if he was still alive.
Wayne's World was 90s.
Was it?
Yeah, 91, I would guess. That's what I see. I was trying to do that math. It was 91 or 92, maybe 92. I was in high school. We were in high school when that came out. So
how
that was
do we
90s.
brain, Ron? How do we brain anymore?
Yeah, braining is tough. Right? But I can I can remember when Wayne's World came out. I can't remember exactly when Freddie Mercury died, but God, it was right before Bohemian Rhapsody became big again. It was right before. So it was close if he didn't.
Did you know it really doesn't matter? No, it really doesn't.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm going to call Mama.
I can tell you right now. Did I get all your answers? Okay. Freddie Mercury died at the end of 1991, and Wayne's World came out in February of 1992.
Yeah,
however,
just missed it.
However, they gave him a screening.
They screened it to him. That's adorable.
Sick in bed. He got to see that scene, and he loved it.
Well, he was sick. He was really sick when he was done.
Oh, Jesus, he was like, what, 60 fucking pounds, 80 pounds or something?
I love this. I love this story.
I'm fine losing that one. Because I was hoping it was the case, but...
how you guys feeling? You feeling good? This is nice, like feel good quiz?
Yeah, I mean, AIDS, death, I'm losing. Great, real fun time.
But against my hand, pull the trigger.
All right, well, here's the deal.
That's pretty sweet. That's adorable that they did that. Whose choice was that to do that? Was that Mike Myers? Because he was the producer.
I don't know. I'm sure that's probably where. I mean, yeah, had to have been, right?
They would have been the ones to put it in the fucking movie. I'm sure.
Let's take a 1 minute adjourn. I gotta make a pee, guys. Okay. 5 questions in. We got 10 more to go.
All right.
Oh my God.
Don't you want somebody to love?
Man, how far did Jefferson Airplane fall when they changed Jefferson Starship and put out fucking we built this city and shit like that?
I love that song too. Is that Jefferson Starship?
Mm-hmm. Same album.
Fuck off. I gotta get into them.
No, stop it.
You know, there's one song on that album that I still listen to from time to time. I can't remember what it is, but
you make sure you slip John Mark one of those Jefferson Starship albums when he gets that Boston album.
You know what? The
just put one in there. In fact, just take the Boston out of the sleeve.
Just put the Jefferson Starship in there.
You're like, wow, this is more suck than I remember.
One of the very, very, very first cassette tapes I ever bought. I'm not even sure. I might still have it. But it was Phil Collins with the
Face Value.
That one.
Oh, that was no. Oh, yeah, that was Face Value.
Nope.
The other big one was no Jacket Required.
No Jacket Required was the album that I bought, and my God, talk about life altering, man. That just the music in that, so good.
Yeah,
I like Phil.
Stop! You guys are killing me.
Well, I mean,
Phil Collins fucking rocks, man. You need to go back and listen to that shit again.
I was years
not
old.
Jefferson Starship.
Nope.
Actually, it was Starship by the time Starship really sucked. There's some decent Jefferson Starship stuff. They dropped the Jefferson altogether by the time they built the city. That was just Starship.
Fucking plot. They stopped taking acid. What the fuck? That's all it is.
I was pretty lucky because I had older brothers and older sisters. So like during the time I'm listening to Phil Collins, my brother's like listening to Judas Priest, and my sister's listening to Motley Crue. Out of Seattle. You know, so I mean, and my parents listened to Zeppelin, so like, I had a really good broad stroke of
pretty well rounded. Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys ready to keep going here?
Yeah, let's get going here.
Quick score update. Lyle's got 2, John Mark's got 2, Ron's got 1.
Whoa!
Lots of questions.
Not so bad off.
Lots of questions. Yeah. All right, question 6. What movie did Tom Hanks officially score his first Academy Award nomination for?
Oh, God damn it.
I think I know.
Zip.
Multiple choice. Was it A, Big?
Zip.
Was it B, Turner and Hooch?
Zip.
The Academy Award winning Turner and Hooch. Okay.
Was it C, Turner and Hooch too. No.
Back in the pound.
Castaway.
Back in the pound.
What was C?
Castaway?
Oh, Castaway. Okay.
Or was it D? The Da Vinci Code.
Mm.
Oh, such a good movie.
Wow.
I love that.
I got to be honest. My first thought was Philadelphia. How do you not win an Oscar for that? And that was before most of those others.
This was just about the wordage was award nomination. His first nomination.
Nomination. I feel like out of that, oh God, Turner and Hooch better not be the fucking Red Rocket Herring. I gotta go with Castaway out of that list. I mean, he single-handedly held an entire fucking movie, and he did it brilliantly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Big, just because I feel out of all those that, if my memory is correct, like how do I even brain that was the earliest one of all the choices, and I think that movie's pretty. I mean, even to this day, kind of pretty well respected, right? People like Big, right? And
dude, it was huge.
I think he did. I think he did a pretty good job of portraying.
I think it was
a little kid in a man's
boy,
body, right?
yeah.
It was like,
I think it was in the movie.
I'm gonna go with Big.
Like a year, maybe 2 years. It was in the movie theater. It was about the time Ghostbusters was around. It was like it was fucking
2 years. No,
oh, dude, look,
It was very popular, Ron.
I believe it was popular, but
That movie was
been
big.
over a couple years
yeah.
in the movie theater. I was gonna go with your Castaway. There's on Instagram. There's a picture of the volleyball, but it was the head of a fleshlight, and the caption had Tom there at the top, and he had a fistful of money, and he's like, "Take all my money." It was so hilarious.
I don't.
But I'll have to dig that. I'll try to find that for you. It was fucking funny.
I think we got it.
I think we're good. So Castaway, or was that just?
I'm not shitting you. I'm telling you, that Big was fucking huge, and it hit like at one of those perfect fucking times because it's like right around the holiday seasons, and it carried out for I want to say longer than a year. It stayed in the box.
Right.
Office.
So is that what you're going with?
Around that Christmas time. Yeah. And that's the gold, man. If you could keep that up, you could do it. There's a few movies I want to say that's been in the movie theater for a long time. Like Ghostbusters was one, Top Gun was one that they just, and maybe it was just us locally, for where we are, that they stayed in the movie theater. That Batman, that was a huge one that stayed and lasted forever.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's some that definitely stayed the better part of a year. So did you go with
Big?
You're going with Big, okay?
Yeah.
Boy, interesting.
Yeah. Well,
he did say nomination, not win.
You guys still with me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello? Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, John, Mark, and Lyle were correct. They're each going to get a point for that.
Wow, I'm sucking.
Yeah,
I'm sucking. Yes, indeed. Not fucking myself, indeed.
All right. True or false? James Cameron got the inspiration to make the Titanic movie after he woke up screaming from a dream in which he was drowning. Ron.
God, these are fucking impossible. False. I'm going to say false.
Okay. Interesting. John Mark?
Well,
yeah, that's how. Wool.
Wasn't.
I'm going to go with W for wool.
Was it?
If I get this right, you're gonna pick me like one of your naked girls.
Wasn't the Abyss before the Abyss was before Titanic, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah, it must have been. Barely.
You know,
might have
what?
been right before.
I'm gonna go with true, just because like after the experience he went through with the Abyss, with all that fucking underwater shit and drowning and all that stuff, I could see that happening.
Yeah, but didn't he have his own little fucking porta sub? He had like his own little sub.
Yeah.
He did.
Well,
you can't be afraid of drowning if you got a tiny fucking sub.
Well,
although that doesn't mean you had a
listen, man. Like James Cameron has been to the deepest part of the ocean personally, in fucking subs, and he's like all into that shit. But I can see that you would have to have like some sort of respect for that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so
healthy fear.
I'll go with true. Yeah, I'll go true.
Lyle.
I'm gonna go true because I think to do what he did, to the extremes that he did, I think he was fighting his own little demons, but he was going in deep. He was embracing them. It's like, yo, my demons, let's go. We're going down deep. Go get that.
Your demons. That's what they say, right?
Yeah. Down to the bottom to see that Titanic. He was that involved into it to do that. Anybody could write a movie. Anybody sit there and write a script and throw it out in front of a camera.
Sure.
But he did the ultimate of what you could do and went down to the very bottom of the ocean to look at the Titanic. Spent all that money.
I hate to keep getting sidetracked, but I got to ask, how do you all feel about Titanic, the movie?
I liked it.
I liked it. It was long, but I
wish it was more about. I mean, would we have liked it as much if there wasn't such a cheesy romantic, like something that, you know what I mean? Like, I wish that wasn't.
I think it came out at the right time. If it came out later, I don't think we would have liked it as much. I think we would have we don't really make movies like that anymore. You know, I mean, not off Lifetime Channel, but it's also really violent and it's also really accurate to a lot of how all that went down.
For whatever reason, I don't remember why at all. I just I refused to watch that movie for a long ass time, and I was like fucking proud of the fact that I had never watched that movie. You know what I mean? I was like, I will never watch this fucking movie. I don't know why. I don't know why. It was just like
probably the same reason you don't like.
You were just afraid you were gonna fucking cry, and you know it.
But then I did watch it eventually, and it was like, it was pretty good. It was all right. Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good movie.
Like Starship.
It's hard to not think of I'm the king of the world, and the cheesy moments, and of course the logistics of just scooch over and let Jack on the fucking raft, you whore.
Exactly.
What the fuck is up? Yeah, all those are problems and fair problems, but overall, I thought it was I remember being balls deep into it in the theater. I saw it in the theater.
I didn't. I would have loved to. It would have been...
And my wife at the time, Jody, of course, bought it on double VHS. That's how long ago that movie came out, man.
Double VHS.
Double VHS. Yeah. I still have that down in my studio. Still got the double
box or the blue box.
Double tape.
When you had to have
gold. Come on, please.
VHS tapes to watch one movie. That
was when they photoshopped out the. I'm sorry. Say that again, John.
I was just like, remember when you had to have like double VHS tapes to watch one movie? I think I had a copy of like Dawn of the Dead, the original 1978 Dawn of the Dead on 2 VHS tapes.
Yeah, it's on too.
Well, that was with the original. A lot of times where they first started putting like bonus things on the tape, because that second tape often only had like a half hour of content of the movie. Watch your rattle in there, John Mark. I think it's your cord, but so
there's
that
was a movies like that. I think the Titanic was one. It was a 2 VHS. I think Mark was
Deer Hunter. I have that on double VHS.
I'm trying to think of any else.
Laura. Laura. Why haven't they made a Laura of Arabia? Sorry, let Chris get back to his game here.
All good. I'm just smoking.
We're doing pretty good on time. We're still under 2 hours here, so.
Okay, so the question was, James Cameron got the inspiration to make the Titanic movie after he woke up screaming from a dream in which he was drowning. That is false. I fucking made that shit up, son, and you guys got real deep in it. Good
advent.
Well, sleep apnea. Yeah, sure.
Ron got that correct, which gave him his second point.
I'm still in it.
You're still in it, man. Everyone's game still. All right, question 8. True or false? Earlier, we talked about John Hughes. His movie, 16 Candles, was almost titled 16 and Still a Virgin.
This is a true or false?
Yes, true or false? 16 Candles was almost titled 16 and Still a Virgin.
Oh, boy, we did like the word virgin in the 80s, so I am tempted to go with that. I'll say yes. I'll say true.
Okay. John Mark?
Boy,
I'm going to say true as well.
Does seem more scandalous, though, doesn't it?
It does. There's a lot of factuation with virgins, too, because it was like the horror time of the 80s with the horror movies. It was like kill the virgin, or sacrifice the virgin or whatever. But it was definitely a topical topic. So I'm going to say.
I thought you said horror movies. It was like Pretty Woman.
Topical topic.
Scary movies.
That was false. I made that shit up. Got you all the way on that one.
A good one.
Truthful lies. Damn.
You had too much fun with this one.
I did. I was just like, I don't want to do anything but have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question 9. Disney's smash hit Moana had a bit of a snag in Italy. They had to change the title of the film to Oceana because A. Moana is not a word that Italians can pronounce very easily.
Sounds like
reason.
marijuana.
Is it B? Moana means to moan sexually in Italian.
Yeah.
To moan sexually.
Spicy
Moana. Yeah, I made this.
Is it C?
Moana last night.
Because Moana is slang in Italian for shut the fuck up, you idiot. Or is it D? Moana is the same name as a very famous Italian porn star.
Oh, that's funny.
Moana. That does sound like a porn star name.
Man, these all sound entirely too plausible.
I was balls deep
This was easy.
into.
This was like, I fucking wrote this with one eye open, one hand on the keyboard. Clickety clack clack.
Well, that makes me want to go with the porn star. I was balls deep in moan, because that does seem like a pretty good translation. But Moana is a great porn star name, and you might have sold me without using this game to you, Chris. We'll see, though. We'll see. I'm going to go with Moana, the porn star. Yeah, see.
Okay. John Mark?
Although,
yeah, that's my choice as well.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Funny
Thanks,
story.
Ron.
I was just having second thoughts, and then I was like,
There was an Italian band, right? And, obviously Italy. And the band's name was Belladonna. And this is way back in the Facebook days.
Yeah.
Or not even Facebook, MySpace days. And they cut an LP right about the time Lacuna Coil kind of blew up. And they were really good, real gothy, real fucking awesome. They sounded really good. And I was friends with them on MySpace. And I was looking through one of just normal tabloid, like your MSN web page. I said, I sent her a message. I said, look, they got there's a message about the band, and it happened to be Belladonna, the porn star. And I felt fucking horrible.
that's funny. Well, isn't the singer? I think the singer of that band is named Luana.
Yeah, well, it's something like that.
Yeah.
But it's so funny.
It was like Annika.
So
maybe I'm confusing somebody.
I'm gonna go with the moan. I think that moan. The
moan.
Moana.
You know that you do. You know you wanna.
I like these. I like that we're getting the answers right away here.
Yeah. Okay, well, the truth was, it's the same name as a very famous Italian porn star.
Damn it.
Nice.
Oh, no. Yeah, I will with that one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he did.
Very nice.
But John Mark went for it as well. He really.
Somebody just said on Facebook, like, the last gift 2020 gave us is now we have to listen to everyone say, very nice again.
Very nice.
That's good.
You will never get this. Okay.
You guys got
My wife.
I gotta say, though, I was disappointed with the whole Rudy Giuliani thing. I don't know that was terribly scandalous. What do you guys think? Did you guys get a chance to see it yet?
I honestly didn't get to that exact point in the movie. Like we watched it up to like a certain point and then switched to something else. But like the everything up to the point where I turned it off and like switched to something else because my attention span was like was fucking hilarious and totally it's just like the movie we deserve right now, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Anyway, it felt like an old man acting like an old man from that era, which isn't necessarily appropriate, but I feel like if they had something super rapey on him, they would have put it in the movie. And it just looked like he was awkwardly getting his microphone off, laying on the bed. Other people have analyzed this too. I don't think ultimately it's a real gotcha moment like they promised, but I don't know. Weigh in, audience. What do you think? I could be wrong. Anyway, moving on.
All right. Question 10. we've got a lot of red versus blue going on right now.
Yeah.
But in the Matrix, did Neo end up taking the red pill or the blue pill? Hmm?
Oh, shit.
Monster.
That is a damn good question because that analogy gets dropped all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me think. It has been for fucking ever since I've seen that movie. But the red pill people are always, aren't those the ones that are, I'm trying to think of the logic here. So the question is, which one did Neo take?
Yeah, the blue
Yes.
or the red.
I feel like he took the blue.
One he
But I
gets,
feel like
and then he happened, and then the one he goes deeper down the rabbit hole.
I think it's blue. I think the red pill people are the ones that are us mask wearers now. You know, every few years, the pill from the Matrix thing gets reworked to describe sheep, but I feel like they're always talking about the red pill, and the red pill are the people that choose. I feel like the red pill is the one that you choose to just go back to the Matrix and live happily ever after without knowing. So I'm gonna go blue.
Okay.
God, it's been
All right.
forever.
John Mark.
John Mark will know this.
Fuck, you know what? I should, but I want to say it's the red pill. That was the one that was supposed to wake you up.
Oh man, I wish
that was my knee jerk reaction, but I feel like I hear red pill being talked about like those are the shitheads.
I wish I could do a Lawrence Fishburne impersonation because I'd be going Neo.
They all end up sounding like Christopher Walken. Just do it.
Or John Travolta. Well, just say Lawrence Fishburne.
Little Morgan Freeman would.
I was just gonna say
Lawrence Fishburne.
That's what we want.
Have that
I
bill.
forgot that Lyle's
Go back to your life.
impersonations mostly just consist of him saying the person's name.
Morgan Freeman. Christopher Walken. John Travolta. Guys. You gotta admit there is a mental jiu-jitsu that happens when he says the name. It does make it more like, wow, yeah, it's John Travolta. He said it.
Just kind of reminded myself.
Sacha Baron Cohen. Yeah.
My name is Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, yeah, I just said Conan. I'm getting drunk.
Yeah, me
I
too.
just smoked a really strong cigar, so I'm fucking high. Okay, so John Mark, what did you go with? Are you going with the red?
Oh,
yeah, red.
Fuck. All right. Well, whatever. You guys are already going to beat me. Lyle, what say you?
I went blue. Yeah. So you guys are red.
No, I went blue.
Oh, well.
Okay. Lyle, did you want to go blue too?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the answer was red. John Mark was absolutely right. It was the red pill. I was surprised by that too. I remembered it being the blue pill, but I don't know. John Mark hit with 5 points there. Lyle and Ron have 3 apiece, but we still have 10 questions. 5 questions to go.
Oh, I was going to say, holy shit. It really is anybody's game.
Guys, we're going to be happy. I'm forcing you guys to be happy.
My wife.
So the blue pill is to go on believing that you're in the Matrix. The red pill is to,
ignorance is bliss. Okay. Question 11.
Well, darn it.
In the movie Pulp Fiction, there's an iconic scene where John Travolta revives an overdosed Uma Thurman by jamming a needle filled with adrenaline directly into her heart. Most people don't know, though, that scene, A, was actually a deleted scene they re-added to the movie later.
Mm-hmm.
B, was initially written as John having the OD and being revived by Uma.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
C, almost pushed Pulp Fiction's rating to NC-17.
Oh, it's pretty there. It's pretty right there.
Or is it D, was actually filmed in reverse?
Oh.
Ronster.
I feel like there is something weird about that scene that makes it seem like reverse footage might have been used, and that's a logical way to get the speed of it and the fury of it without doing real damage. But, God, the idea of him ODing, such a goofy character in a strange way, wasn't it? Vince was that was his character's name in Pulp Fiction, right?
Vincent.
I'm gonna go with they ran it in reverse. I think that's a logical conclusion. They do that a lot with violent scenes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, John Mark.
I'm gonna pull a reverse key.
Yeah.
Gonna go with John Travolta being the.
No, the reverse key.
Rewind.
Filmed in reverse.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, because makes sense with.
I was gonna say the whole making Vincent the victim in that situation doesn't really work anywhere towards the plot of the story.
Well,
you know what I mean?
there's a lot.
'Cause he's
There's
the
a
one
lot of
supposed to
holes
be
in
the
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
Although
pretty good
are they
analyze,
holes?
actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, just from the film knowledge that I have, is that that's one of it's a visual effect, is to film it backwards, to do it. Like, you ever seen those movies that people have, like, they have kinetic powers where they can move shit, like Magneto, he can move stuff with his mind, like metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a good, easy special effect you could do by taking a gun or something of metal and, like, throwing it across the room into a bag. Well, you do that, but you do it in reverse.
Yeah.
You know?
They
So
do it a lot with old kung fu movies too.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, definitely. I think probably for safety
Love that
measures,
old
for
shit.
sure, filmed in reverse.
Okay.
Family game.
And you're all absolutely correct. It was filmed in reverse, so they could stab that needle right into the heart.
Yeah, good stuff. God, it's been way too long since I've seen Pulp Fiction, man.
I love that movie.
It's a great flick.
Need a rewatch.
That changed movie for better or worse, however you feel about that, or Tarantino, or films after that. That changed movie making.
Sure.
Yeah, dude. I saw that movie when it was out in the theater when it first came out on Thanksgiving Day. It was fucking awesome.
It was fucking mind blowing the first time you saw it. You know.
I dressed up as Vincent for Halloween.
You know, that's right. You made it great. Yeah, perfect, Vincent. All right, moving on.
Okay, sorry, I was queuing up. I have a photo for the next one here. Oops, nope, it's for the one after that. Sorry. Okay, well, question 12 is a true or false question. True or false? In the movie Fight Club, there's lots of Easter eggs we see, but a sharp-eyed viewer might notice that in almost every shot of the movie, you can see a Starbucks cup visible. True or false?
God, that feels true. I want to go true.
Ron says true. Gemma.
Starbucks at that time would have been blowing the fuck up.
What was the question again?
In the movie, sorry, I have to pull it up here. Okay. In the movie Fight Club, a keen-eyed viewer might notice that in almost every shot of the film, you can see a Starbucks cup. True or false?
I'm gonna go with false.
Okay.
Easy to do, but they'd really have to. They'd really have to do it.
Well, it's a random fuckery question for sure. It's just like, was it? I don't know. And the problem is, I don't think I've ever watched Fight Club all the way through.
What?
I think portions of it. It's not my thing. I get the whole.
Oh, you never even saw the subliminal penis shot at the end. Which, by the way, did you know that more than half the people that see Fight Club don't see the subliminal penis message?
The dick?
At the end. Yeah. That's how the subliminal messages work.
Yeah, I only seen like parts of it, like the beginning parts, and then a couple of months later seen part.
Watch the whole movie,
Yeah,
dude.
watch that whole movie.
Well,
That's an amazing film.
I mean, I get it, but I get the whole split personality thing, and
Spoilers.
Well, but it's not all about that. Just watch the whole thing.
No, it really is one of those movies that you like. The fourth time you watch it, you're like, "Holy shit!" They would have done something like the Starbucks thing. Like, that's why I said yes. Like, I probably would have said true to anything.
Well, that's the thing, is you're correct. I mean, during that time, Starbucks was blowing the fuck up.
Yeah, and it started as just like a little Seattle coffee company. And then it just went super fucking corporate, and a ton of that movie is anti-corporate bullshit. Starbucks would have been a great, and Chuck Palahniuk, is that how you say his last name? The author of the book, Palahniuk. He's a Portlander, so he would have been plugged into that Northwest shit.
Well, my whole theory on it is that, like, it was probably filmed on a fairly, even with Brad Pitt, it was probably kind of one of those shady budgets, But like, if you're like, hey, if you could, you want to supply us with some coffee, we'll give you some, little camera time. If you're
That's kind
subliminally,
of a funny way to think about it. If it was an anti-corporate thing.
Yeah, and they're like, "Fuck yeah, let's go," and they're providing coffee for the crew, and I think it would be that way.
I can tell you that Fight Club was absolutely not a small budget movie. That was a big budget movie. But what's your answer?
It's
Going with Starbucks?
Sure.
Yeah.
Going with the Bucks.
All right, you're both absolutely correct. I'm sending you over a picture. It's in almost every single shot, if not every shot. And he did it because Starbucks at that time was everywhere, and he was trying to make a ironic statement, I think.
Oh, yeah. I'm typing. I'm curious. I could be wrong about the budget, but I feel like it. No, $63 million. That's a good chunk of dough back then. Yeah, funny. Something to go back. There's got to be so many fucking Easter eggs in that show.
Yeah. Let's see. So after, where are we at?
Show. In that movie picture show.
In that show, into that.
Moving on to. Sorry, go ahead.
Still.
Sorry, go ahead.
Question 13, and right now the
to answer every question. Sorry, go ahead.
John Mark has 6
We're having
points.
fun though, right? That's the point. Oh yeah, I'm dying to know where are we with score wise.
Ron has 5. Lyle has 5. John Mark has 6.
Holy shit!
Oh shit!
Yeah. Climbing back, baby.
How many more
All right,
questions?
We're at 13.
This is mirroring the political situation in this country right now.
This is going to come down to some Nevada shit right here.
Right?
I don't have a
It's all about
tiebreaker.
Georgia and Nevada, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question 13.
Or democracy. We just let that play out. Then it's pretty clear winner. Mm-hmm.
In the original Jurassic Park movies, when you heard velociraptors, why does that word so tough? Well, velociraptors. When you heard those visceraptors,
ribbed for her pleasure. Mm-hmm.
Oh my!
Got those visceraptors?
When you hear those particular dinosaurs making noises,
have you ever imagined?
Oh well, go ahead, please.
Have you ever imagined?
Wait.
Lyle's had a lot of coffee tonight.
I have. Have you ever imagined a T-Rex trying to do a push-up? That's some funny shit.
Yeah, it's a lot like me doing a push-up in my fucking 40s. I don't have to imagine. Look in the fucking mirror.
Oh, man. Little tiny arms.
All right. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I mean...
Velociraptors.
Velociraptor.
When you hear the raptors making noises, you're actually hearing this. Is it A? John Mark's straight up asleep.
Could you repeat the question?
Dude, wait, quiet.
That'd be amazing if one of us was like narcoleptic. Just every now and then.
I just needed you guys to hear the majesty of a snoring pit bull for a minute there.
Was that what that was?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do it one more time real quick now that we know what it is, because that's pretty charming. Now it sounds more like a velociraptor. No.
Mm-hmm.
Max is all passed out too.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay.
All right.
What are you actually hearing when you hear them making the noises? Is it A, sandpaper being ripped into pieces? Is it B, tortoises mating? What?
Yeah, that's what they sound. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember seeing some troubling footage, but I remember being like, like that was the cum noise. Really troubling.
Is it C, a child snoring?
Whatever that sounds like.
Or is it D, a cat chittering?
Yeah, whatever that sounds like.
Can we end on me this time, because I pretty well know this one.
Do you have an example of the sound? Can we listen to it?
I don't. I should have, but I don't. We'll probably get flagged for fucking sound effects anyway.
What's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Licensing.
DMCA.
Run through the options one more time real quick.
Sandpaper being ripped into pieces, tortoises mating, a child snoring, or a cat chittering.
A pit bull snoring.
No.
I'm gonna go with a cat chittering.
Mm-hmm. Lyle?
Did Ron already go?
No, he's gonna go last.
I'm pretty sure I know this, and I don't know how to fake that I don't know it, so I'm going last.
Okay. Well, I would say that dinosaurs are kind of known to be birdish animals, but the larynx on them, I don't think is able to produce such a noise. So
larynx.
I'm going with John Mark with the chatter.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
All right, Ross.
I could be wrong, but I remember you said tortoise. I remember it being turtles, but so I'm gonna go with tortoise because I do remember hearing some trivia. I know turtles were used at some point in the sounds of Jurassic Park because I devoured those DVDs with all the
Some
special
kind of reptile
features.
would make sense.
And
yeah,
you know
I guess.
that Adam Jones from Tool was one of the special effects artists on that first Jurassic Park. It was right before Tool made it big. And he had a Hollywood special effects job, and everyone thought he was crazy for quitting that job to go join this little band called Tool that was about to record their first EP.
The claymation stuff, right? He was the one in charge of all the claymation.
Yeah.
Well, there was actually a dude from East Wenatchee that I can't remember his name. It's like there was a guy from Wenatchee. It was an artist that was like
it's
heavily involved.
Kevin Willis.
Kevin Willis, who was heavily involved in all their early videos and stuff.
Yo, Mark, your mic is making some funky noise, brother.
Yeah.
No, your mic is.
It's making some.
Yeah, Chris, do you ever think it might be your mic?
It might be my mic.
It's not.
The correct answer was indeed tortoises mating. Nice job, Ronster. Your memory served you correct on
I
that
don't
one.
remember it being them mating. It's interesting that I remember the turtle part, but not the mating.
That's interesting, Ron.
Pretty gross.
You only need to have like one part of it to get to the truth. So
that's what the turtle
If
said.
you haven't seen it, there's a YouTube video. Just YouTube turtle sex, and there's.
I'm telling you, it's a sound. I'm gonna do it right now because I'm telling you, it's the sound that I made. It's like.
So fucking. I laughed.
Maybe Lyle was closer, but I remember it being more throaty, like. All right, let's hear the turtle sex sound. Turtle sex soundboard. I don't want the full meal deal here. I just want. Here we go. You never forget that face. Okay, let's give it a listen. You want to knock shells later, or?
I feel like I'm 12.
Let me skip it. Oh, Lyle was closer.
Oh my God, it's uncanny. Wow, you don't have to keep doing it. Stop.
Oh my God, you gotta. When you see the face, it's so troubling. His mouth is just wide open, like he is just fucking getting it.
Yeah.
You gotta put a Lyle and tortoise sound side by side, like playing back.
Oh God, I will. This is already going to be an editing chore. Why not? That's the stinger. That is the stinger. All right, stick around for that, folks.
All right, this question is question 14, and I like this question so much I'm going to make it worth 2 points. Which is interesting because Ron has 6, John Mark has 6, Lyle has 5. Okay.
I'm nervous.
Steven Spielberg, not Steven Spielberg.
Sounds like a Simpsons name.
Steven Spielberg. Great.
Spielberg.
Featuring Steven Spielberg.
That's a porn name.
Yeah, that is a porn director name.
Fuck.
This is drunker than our Halloween drunk episode. I'm glad we're making up for it.
I needed smiles. One of the most prolific and loved movie makers of our time. At one point, 2 of his more famous movies he was heavily involved with that don't seem to have a lot in common started as the same script. He eventually made some changes so he could make both movies. What 2 movies he was involved with started as the same script.
One of
And
them. Just like
I thought so. Now keep in mind he does a lot of writing, directing, producing, but he's always attached to these movies, and you know him for them, right? Okay.
Mhm.
What two movies started as the same script? Was it A, Schindler's List and Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Okay, got the Nazi ties.
Was it B, Minority Report and AI?
Futuristic stuff. Mm-hmm. Check.
Was it C, E.T. and Poltergeist?
Oh, spooky.
Aliens and ghost. Okay.
Or was it D, Jaws and Jurassic Park?
Oh, megalodons.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I don't know this. This is an interesting tidbit, but the only thing that I wouldn't, the one that jumps out is the one that isn't a direct connection. I'm not saying that you wouldn't be clever enough to throw that in there. But E.T. as Poltergeist. I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
What was the last one? Jaws and what? Oh, Jurassic Park. Yeah, no. Schindler's List and Raiders of the Lost Ark is an interesting thought and an adventure Holocaust movie, but don't
God damn it.
It's like, Jesus, they just shot Grandpa. If only someone would save us.
This is just wrong.
We're in bad waters here. You thought Jaws was bad waters. An indie Schindler's List matchup. Shindiana's List and the Temple of...
Shindiana's List. Oh my gosh. Holy shit! I should not be laughing at this. Oh my god!
You better not fucking be B.
Holy fuck! This is quite an experience. Thank you.
Oh, my cat came over to see if I was okay. She hasn't heard me laugh this hard in a long time.
Did I get the answers? Jesus Christ. Okay, I got Ron's with E.T. and Poltergeist.
I'm going with A2 and Poltergeist.
Oh, that was okay.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm leaning this way.
Fuck.
I found a video online about megalodon, and for some reason I've got dinosaurs on my mind, so I'm gonna go with the Jaws and Jurassic Park.
Just Jurassic Park, not bad.
Oh, gosh.
Oh.
The correct answer was E.T. and Poltergeist, and I have a little snippet here for you. Spielberg was going to produce filmmaker John Sayles' Night Skies script about a rural family invaded by aliens that could kill with the touch of a finger, but decided to go a more family-friendly route with the story creating E.T. the extraterrestrial, but would rewrite the other script to become Poltergeist.
Yeah, I remember something. He was doing some UFO thing. Watch the skies, or what did you say it was? Night skies.
Yeah,
Night skies.
Night Skies.
I remember, something about that, but that didn't come until later. But
that's kind of cool to know. I always thought like Poltergeist was kind of like based off a semi-true story. But...
That's one of my favorite.
Well, speaking of
movies.
like not bringing up old franchises, how weird is it that we haven't seen any other E.T. movies at this point?
Oh, I think they don't have. I don't think. I mean, you think Spielberg would sign off on the rights? I mean, he probably owns.
He was
I don't know who
silenced by
owns
the
it.
CIA, guys. Come on, what the fuck? Everybody
shit.
knows that.
I think after all the landfills of the video games, they just decided not to touch it.
You're probably
Don't touch
right. That probably
Jeez.
snuffed any. There's such a bad taste, and now the whole thing's kind of a joke. But I don't know. I think the world would accept a new E.T. film. I think I kind of might want to watch that. But anyway.
Wasn't there like I swear
I'm surprised.
remember like hearing about like there was some sort of plans for an ET sequel. something like that. You guys know?
It's 2000.
All I saw was the stupid commercials they did with Elliot over like the Super Bowl last year.
Oh yeah, that was kind of sweet, right? Or were they stupid? I don't remember.
How would that movie go? You'd have Elliot as a fucking halfway adult, while he'd be a middle-aged
a
man,
homeless guy.
So he's
Like,
a middle-aged
believe
man.
me, right? I had an alien friend.
All of a sudden, you see a little bicycle come around the corner, and the fucking ET's in the basket.
I don't
He's
know.
like,
It could be his son. He can come back to visit to see Elliot. Maybe E.T. has kids now, and he visits Elliot's kids. They go on wacky Stranger Things type adventure. Yeah, I think they could do it. Especially if they somehow... Well, no, it couldn't work in the 80s thing. Everybody's so 80s crazy. But
well, you can do it 90s.
Well, where are we at score-wise here?
Well, before we move on to the last question, Ron and John Mark are tied at 8 a-pop.
Oh, this is going to be where the men are separated from the other men.
Gotta get that
Now,
up.
here's
This is
what's
where
gonna
the blues separated from the red, fellas.
This is a great question as well. But here's what I'm going to do to ensure I don't have a tiebreaker. To ensure that only one of you can win, whatever you pick, Ron, John Mark
It's
can't pick.
Okay.
Off the board. It's a good one too.
That's a big leg up for me. Yeah, we all admit.
I think it's fair. To be fair, I like that rule because you have gone first the whole game.
It's true. And most games.
You know, you've had to be that's indeed, yeah. So you get a little one advantage at the end here. I feel it's fair.
I could use it.
Okay, question 15. Before Arnold Schwarzenegger was cast in his breakout role in The Terminator, excuse me.
They get to the chopper now. Do it.
I just wrote this really poorly.
And then he are having
Question 15. Before Arnold Schwarzenegger...
Don't bother starting over. I ain't editing this shit out.
Edit.
I never edit it out when it's funny, and this is funny to me.
Get your ass to Mars.
Before Arnie was cast as the role in Terminator, the studio had somebody else in mind. And they were pushing it on Cameron. They were like, this is who we want to play the Terminator. But James Cameron ultimately said, this guy's too likable, goofy, and innocent. Who was almost the Terminator? Was it A, Eddie Murphy? Was it B, Steve Guttenberg?
Steven Guttenberg of Police Academy fame. Okay. He would have been a bigger star.
Is it C, O.J. Simpson?
Oh, we won't joke about
O.J.
that.
Simpson.
Or was it D, Tom Selleck?
Oh, I'd watch that.
One of these guys, the studio was pushing on to be in this movie, and James Cameron vetoed it.
Okay, this was what? 82, 84? What was that fucking first movie? 84, 85 maybe. Bang Pete, boy, you picked good ones. The only one that doesn't make any fucking sense to me at all is O.J. Simpson. And that's why...
It was later than that. It was like in the 80s because the Guns N' Roses put a soundtrack to it.
Well, that was part 2. Part 2 was like 1990. But the first one was... Yeah, you're right. It was probably later than 80. It would have been 85 or 86 Terminator. But it was... Yeah. The original Terminator was definitely the 80s. I feel like T2 was either 89 or 90. We'll look it up here in a minute. But I straight up Hail Mary, which ties into O.J. Simpson's world. I'm going to go O.J. Simpson. He was getting some weird fucking roles in the 80s and 90s. That's the only one that's a weird herring if it's... No one else can pick it. No one else can pick the right one. Yeah, fuck it. Hail Mary. O.J. Simpson.
Okay.
I feel confident about
Joe Mark.
For some fucking
anything
reason.
but O.J.
Would you have gone with O.J. if you could pick it, Joe? It's fair to say.
Joe Mark still with us?
Can I go for John Mark?
So I can't pick OJ, huh?
No.
Can't pick O.J.
I'm 100% sure it's O.J. Simpson. So I'm going to go with Tom Selleck.
You know that it's OJ. Well, it's going to make it fun for Lyle, but
I'm 100% sure.
There's something.
I want Tom Selleck.
There must be something that I knew.
I want to see that.
My subconscious too. Where are you going, Lyle?
It doesn't matter. I'm out of it. It's you guys.
You Tom still get points, baby, for honor.
For honor, I would say Tom Selleck, just because I want to see that. That would be fucking cool. He was awesome in the 80s.
You have to pick Steve Guttenberg.
Sorry, Lyle. Them's the breaks. We don't make the rules.
These are good answers, right?
Yeah,
Steve Guttenberg it is. Well, good pick, Lyle.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Solid choice. John Mark kind of John Mark. Ron was right, and John Mark, was right, but couldn't be right.
He was right. He knew
Which
he was
makes
right.
Ron our winner. That was a fucking fierce
Holy
battle.
Shit.
John Mark, I'm sorry I had to do you dirty like that, but
I feel like that election was stacked.
It was definitely.
You want to sue about it?
I feel
John Mark
like,
could sue.
I feel like Johnny, what's his name from Cobra Kai, getting the second place trophy right now.
Well,
That's fair.
spoilers. That's good.
Well, good job,
I
guys.
feel pretty good about that. Yeah, I didn't do nearly as good as I thought I would have. I usually kick ass with this kind of shit. Those were tough fucking questions.
Yeah.
And tougher answers.
Pick for a Hollywood actor around that time to be the Terminator? Here's a good question.
You guys, though.
Sylvester Stallone probably would have been an easy one.
This is a perfect analogy for the situation we're going through right now with the political stuff. It's like who's Trump and who's Joe Biden, like me or Ronnie, you know what I mean? Like it could go either way, right? Like
you got screwed.
Yeah, it could go either way. And we won't answer it, but the audience listening will answer it because they know who they think is getting screwed and who isn't. Isn't that funny? That we, after all of this, after the last 4 years and after all the talk, and after all the, I told you guys the only thing I knew, I told you that I felt like Trump was going to win at some point. I still wouldn't be surprised if somehow that happens, but I definitely knew this was not going to be a fucking landslide. And all those polls that came out showing Biden taking this thing away, I knew were fucking bullshit. I knew we weren't that split
again.
But holy shit, are we fucking split? Isn't that crazy? Like some of these, it's not just close. It's like they're like Georgia and there's another one I was just looking at, maybe Pennsylvania. They're almost like the exact same
within like a number, 1,000 votes or something.
And overall, it's just it's really fucking interesting that we are this split still. But that's
I
where
feel
we're
like with all the elections, it kind of comes down to this when it's really tight. They're all always bitching about something. Like fake ballots that they're counting that aren't supposed to be.
That's the thing. Whenever it's this tight, there's always going to be controversy.
They haven't figured it out.
I wanted, even if the person who I wanted to win didn't win, I wanted it to be a clear win so we didn't have this stress and this bullshit, because now it's just going to fucking go on and on and on, and people are going to be complaining on either side like there was shenanigans, and rightfully so, and it's just more stress that this country doesn't fucking need right now. But I will say this. I think that we need to clean up our act moving forward. We need to dial this shit in so that election night is results night. Change these deadlines, bump them up. I'm not calling any shenanigans with this election. I'm just saying bump everything up a little bit so that we don't hear anything until results night. Then we won't have this bullshit, right? Like let's
said and done, before you go to bed who the president is.
I suppose that still wouldn't eliminate super close races, but at least we don't all plan on going to bed on Tuesday. And I knew, I almost wanted to get you guys together to do a live, or at least a recording of us watching as, like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, seeing what's going on. But ultimately, I felt like we weren't going to know that night. And
we still don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of streamers doing that. They're just doing a political.
And they all gave up.
And they're still doing it. They're daily. They just go through it and do a political stream.
Yeah, fuck that. There's no point. Just fucking check like everyone else is checking. You won't be able to miss it. Once it's finally news, you won't be able to miss it. So I know a lot of people that are just anxiously checking nonstop. I don't think that's healthy. Go to bed, relax, hug a loved one, pet your dog, do what you got to do, and just check in the morning. Nevada straight up said, look, we're going to bed. We'll fucking finish counting tomorrow, which I thought was really amazing. Like, are you serious? The entire fucking nation is looking at you specifically, and you're like, yeah, we'll finish this up later. All right.
It's extremely hard said, and I've heard it all my life, but I never really put it to play. But you cannot stress over the shit you have nothing to do with. That's something you can't control.
Yeah.
And
No control
you just
at this
can't.
point.
You need to go and just let it go, you know?
And no
it took
matter
me
what, 4
to figure it
years,
out.
here's the thing. We go 4 years with somebody that we either hate or we love. And it's been that way our whole life. It'll be that way our whole lives. We will survive. We will get through it. I just would like to do away with this bullshit.
Me too.
I feel like we can clean this up. I feel like we can figure out the deadlines, figure out the rules, adjust them. Maybe it's time. You know, everything else is antiquated over the past 200 years. Why don't we modify this shit and just settle on results night? Forget election night. We'll have that be a separate day. That's when you vote. That's when the deadline, your postmark, all that shit. It's all cut off, and then we start paying attention again on results night. You count it up, and then you let us fucking know. There's no surprises, no bullshit. Yeah, be better than this shit. But anywho, let's get the fuck on out of here. Good Lord, that was fun. Tune in next week. We'll probably be having an even funner time talking about 9/11, and we may or may not have a president. You remember 2000? That went on for what, over a month? So there's no telling. Trump is suing people, and some of these numbers are still coming in. Even the legitimate numbers still come in until Friday, and that's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, well, let's clean this up. Let's get the deadlines well ahead of election night, and just call it results night, and make election night like 2 weeks before results night. Why not? We don't need this bullshit. We don't need it. This is all bullshit. Fucking, and all of the news media outlets are just, this is their shit. Because this is their ratings bonanza. Because they are streaming everywhere with like double the ads. They get the typical shit that for people that are watching on the networks for ad revenue. They don't want you to tune out. They want you to stay tuned. This could change at any fucking minute. Nope, probably not. Could be a while. And even if it ain't, you'll hear about it. So switch off the fucking networks. Stop checking religiously. Take a chill pill. Have some fun. Everything will be fine. Take your dog for a walk. That's a good call. And listen to some podcasts. Play some video games. Have fun. Enjoy your life while we got it. All right, y'all. Thanks. That was fun. Tune in next week. 9/11. Good night, y'all.
Good night, guys.
Yeah.